just jumping on here tonight to talk about the Herald article that came out yesterday, which revealed that the Destiny Predator has been named, and talks about what's going on with him, the pedophile that I was talking about in my previous video, who I had to call the accused back then. But now that he's been named, I knew his name, but now that he's been named, I can too. His name is Kiwa Hamaora. He goes, yeah. Okay. Actually, I think I'll just begin by reading out some of the article from the Herald. Okay, it says, a Destiny Church predator who preyed on vulnerable boys that he met through his leadership role at the church as Boys to Men youth group, sexually abused his victims hundreds of times at a South Auckland house that he shared with his mother. The Herald can also reveal his family are prominent and long-standing members of the Destiny community. His half-brother Caleb Cave has regularly appeared on the stage alongside Brian Tamaki. Lost my place. While his mother was active in the youth group program and Destiny's Legacy Women's Group. Kiwa Hamaora, his supporters sobbed in Manukau District Court as the 29-year-old was remanded in custody, with a judge warning that he likely faces a lengthy term of imprisonment when he is sentenced for his abhorrent crimes in March. Okay, well, I already said all of those things. It's funny how we need mainstream media to stamp it as true, but anyway, I remember saying it was going to go the way of Eddie Long and that more and more charges would be laid. Yeah, they skyrocketed from 6 to 14, then to 22, and now he admits to hundreds of assaults. Hundreds. And I still believe it's just the beginning. I mean, you know, I do believe more will come out, and I don't think it's just going to be Kiwa. And there's a lot of good reason for saying that so confidently, but one of those reasons is that Brian continues to blatantly lie, bald-faced lie, about the situation, as he has done many times before about pedophiles in his church. Brian Tamaki's response to the Herald article read, he put this up on X in a couple of places. Again, he says, I never knew this man. It's really quite unbelievable that he's still going with that. It's been ridiculously over and above established and proven that he did know him. Multiple photos, videos of them together at Brian's house, at the church, the two families together. And actually, I'll place the most recent video that I made about this under this live, and you'll see. You'd have to be an absolute idiot to believe that Brian didn't know this man and know him well. For a long period of time. Brian also says in his statement, he was never a Destiny pastor. I remember pointing out in the longer form video that we did about this with Hannah and Calvin, it's Counterspin, that he was manipulating with his language, because the first video he did, he said, first article, sorry, he was saying he was never a youth church leader, he was never in leadership. And then when I showed that he damn well was a leader, in fact, he was the general of Destiny Youth Nation, the highest position and very revered for his years and years of work with the boys in Destiny, he changed his language from leader to pastor. He was never a pastor. We never said he was a pastor. And pastor or leader, it makes no difference. We're not falling for that crap, Brian. Your son-in-law, Brian, his name's Kane Warren, the guy who oversaw and managed the car park test and jab operation, he's the one who placed Kiwa into leadership many years ago. And you performed the ceremony where you ordained him, remember? My, what an impaired memory you seem to have. You really should get that seen to. Kiwa joined Destiny in 2013, performed on the stage more times than could be counted. His name has been published as a leader, keynote speaker multiple times in The Sound of Destiny. Many photos with his arms around Brian, and his brother Caleb was best buds with Brian. They go pig hunting together, lots of videos, photos with his mum too, Trish Hamaora. and social environments together outside of the church. His brother Caleb lived with Jenny Marshall. Brian's joined at the HIP secretary for many years. He also tried his previous smokescreen again in this statement. His manufactured outrage at the police, saying that Destiny had informed them and they'd failed to act. Utter rubbish, lies. It was very clear from the parents' own testimonies that it was a mother who approached Destiny, Destiny leadership, and another, and that nothing was done. They stated that plainly. So they went to the police, and then the police don't notify Destiny. It's incredible, the lies that are going on, the absolute smoke screening here. But the part that really got me in his statement was when he said that this is the first time to my knowledge that we've had this kind of problem in our church. Bald-faced lie is an understatement. If you watch the video that I placed below, you'll see that there is an archive of paedophilic abuse from children's and youth church leaders in Destiny, stemming back to at least 2014. One went to prison for 8 years, and Brian called the mum of that victim to Auckland Church. She lived in Rotorua. He was effectively containing her and controlling her, silencing her. And I know because she rang me and told me the whole story. Another couple of Destiny pastors in New Plymouth were accused of harbouring paedophiles in their own home, their own adult children, who were regularly molesting children in their own home. Well known through the whole congregation. They talked about it. It was all covered in a Campbell Live investigation in 2014. And the 2 adult children were then called to Destiny as well in the wake of that scandal. Rebecca Noble, one of them, is still ministering at Auckland Destiny to this day. I've seen emails that I wasn't permitted to publish between Hannah Tamaki and a mother of a victim who is begging for something to be done about some of the men still in leadership at the Auckland Destiny Children's Church, saying that her child was a victim, but there's still threat in the Auckland Destiny Children's Church. Like, her child's abuser had been consequenced, but that there were still others in the church that were posing a threat. She was saying, Hannah, please do something about it. But she was just fobbed off. Then she was stalked, followed, intimidated until she had to leave the church. And then Brian goes on to summarize in a statement that the church and him have done nothing wrong. It's all because he's a hero of the freedom movement. That's why he's being persecuted and attacked. That's what the white knighting was for, people. This level of denial is really concerning. A normal response would be to front up and be absolutely gobsmacked, devastated that this had gone on under your nose. But we saw it with Eddie Long, his mentor, $24 million in settlements, and he just invites him back in, refuses to tell the parents about these, American convictions, settlements. And then he, intimidated me when I approached him, saying that something needed to be done about this, something needed to be said at least. Well, not anymore, Brian. I'm not trembling and squeaking anymore, am I? Your cult is a despicable pit of slime. You showed us who you were when you funneled thousands of souls into your mate's jabbing clinic. He thanked you ever so much, didn't he? Calling you in your car park his biggest catcher net that he'd had, helping him to become South Auckland's largest jabbing operation. And your churches made millions from the COVID scam across the country. We've got the OIAs. And all the while, you're travelling first class around the world with the owner of that South Auckland clinic. And you had the gall to run a People's Court at Parliament advocating for jab victims, even placing the national director of that jabbing clinic as the judge. Shameless. It's absolutely gloating in your face. Look what I can get away with. You, Brian Tamaki, and your cohorts do not deserve to walk the same streets as the rest of us. The white knighting, like the charade that was that somber moving procession to Mount Eden prison, and the lineup of mainstream media cameras all aimed at you. And the Cyclone Gabrielle employment of your minions, not you, was for such a time as this. Solitary confinement, you say? Right. How convenient. No cellmates to verify your presence. Yeah. We see you out there pushing your government agendas, screaming about Israel and threatening anyone with violence who dares to speak the truth about what's going on over there. You have my permission to rip down their flags, you wrote. No government censoring on that one. It's a bit weird, isn't it? We'd be censored for incitement, and rightfully so, because that'd really start something, you know, if you went and ripped someone's flags down, some Palestinian who's lost their family in Gaza, and you go rip his flag down, that's going to start something. But you're not censored for that, are you? Ever. Of course not. Because that's the purpose, isn't it? That's what they're trying to whip up here, you know. Do you think we don't see this stuff? It all lines right up with the laws about to be passed in the US to deny funding to any educational institution that shares a narrative other than the pro-Israel one, and threatens legal action against anyone, any member of the public who speaks or writes anything against the Zionist Jews or Israel, even if it's true. It's not about whether it's true, it's just about whether, you know, whether it makes them look good. So it's illegal. Do you really think we're stupid, you know, to see who you're working for, Brian? We don't know who you're working for? You're kind of flashing it about, you know, with your flags. You know, the big blue star on the flags. It's a clue. They are running the entire show, in case you don't know that yet, Brian, because, you know, I got to admit, it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on up top with you, so maybe you're not aware. Possible. And you've done a great job of surrounding yourself with people who are of, let's say, sub IQ, who still can't see how you're treated differently by authorities. You know, your marchers and your police chaperone, you're even allowed to shut down the Auckland Harbour Bridge. And even when they break the rules set for them, you know, like they did at the last one by getting off their vehicles, there's no consequence. Yeah, rebelling against their rules and then having that printed in the media as it was, it just makes you look even more like the anti-establishment rebel hero, doesn't it? God, honestly, the government of this country seriously underestimates the intelligence of the population. I pointed you out as controlled opposition back in Parliament 2022 when mainstream media partnered with you to say that our protest was to call for a snap election, which it wasn't, never mentioned. And that just happened to be a Luxon agenda. And remember all the, you know, Labour must go. You were a controlled opposition tool. You were a tool. And you still are, in every sense of the word. And I mean that. Because the hilarious thing is that you actually think that they're going to look after you after all this is done. No, they won't. They'll squash you like a bug that is no longer needed. A useful idiot who's no longer useful. Still an idiot, but no longer a useful idiot. Anyway, I see all your talk about how you're going to sue the Herald. Yeah, like you did with me and Counterspin, you know, which we called out as a bluff, and what do you know? It was. But I know, you think it makes you look more convincing, but it's not very convincing when you don't follow through, Brian. And, you know, honestly, you'd be even more of an idiot than I give you credit for if you did actually follow through with this one, because you can't win on defamation if there hasn't been any defamation, which is, of course, false information. Yeah, so, seeing there wasn't any false information in the Herald article, yeah, good luck with that one. We'll just wait for that little one to just disappear, like all the others. Anyway, if anyone supports Tamaki from this point, with the abundance of evidence that shows that he is lying and has likely been covering over pedophilia in his church for decades, then they're complicit with the ongoing infestation of pedophilia in our nation. Okay, moving on to one other thing that I wanted to speak about tonight. Liz Gunn's videos. A couple of days ago she put out another one, and another one tonight, I believe. The last one with a phone call on it where she violated someone's privacy by publishing a recorded phone call. She didn't tell them it was being recorded, and she called everyone who supported New Zealand Loyal in it swamp creatures, all sorts of very flamboyant names, dark forces of evil. It was really something to watch, I tell you. We've had a few of these. Another one tonight. Wow, they're not getting any better. Quite dramatic, actually. Okay. Anyway, there were numerous lies in it again. The lies began, I think it was about 3 seconds into the video, and I think they finished about 2 seconds from the end when she ran the end reel. There was a slew of defamatory lies, yet again, about a number of good people. And seeing as she does it this way, always putting this into the public arena, she names all these people, and then she won't allow any discourse, won't consult anyone privately. Then the only option is to hit it head on, because I'm not prepared to let this kind of gossip run around. I'm not afraid to hit it head on. I like to nip lies in the bud, so yeah, I'm going to do that. In regards to me, she said, I've been the beneficiary of New Zealand Loyal Party money, which is also something that Heather Jeffries has been spreading. I'd like to put that straight. I have never been the recipient of any loyal money, no cash in hand, no funds transferred, not from Liz, the party secretary, not via counterspin. Calvin also received no money, only what was reimbursed to him that Liz already owed him. And Liz, if Calvin was to actually charge you for his work, you wouldn't even have enough money to pay him for all the hours of work that he did in 3 different professional capacities, trying to save the people of Loyal money. That's why he offered his services and just turned himself inside out. But instead, no, you insisted on giving down the track $35,000 of the People's Party's money to those Australian disasters, despite Calvin's warnings that that'd be for no return, which of course it was, 0. Might as well have just thrown that 35k in the bin. But anyway, if you'd like to prove me wrong, Liz, especially about the money that I've received, please bring some records, text, banks, transfers, screenshots, whatever you got of me receiving Loyal money. You have flipped the truth on its head, Liz. There is only one person who has anything to answer for around the issue of money, and that's you. You know that you are likely to soon be facing a serious fraud office investigation, and that the level of money missing qualifies this as grand theft. Serious criminal charges. Like I've said before with Billy Tekahika and his judge, he said that he was letting Billy off lightly by only giving him 200 hours community service for the $10,000 political donation that he nicked off with. Misappropriated, I think they call it. But you've got a whole lot more than 10k to explain, Liz. We've got 41,000 in the profit and loss return, 12,000 assets, no depreciation, all the cash in hand, and there was a hell of a lot of that, as well as the donations that came in after the profit and loss report, and the fundraisers, the subscriptions, all of the stuff that came in this year. Yeah, and your refusal to provide thorough, detailed accounts to show any detail, actually, there's been no detail whatsoever to show where the $600,000 worth of donations went. Obviously, that's just not going to fly for much longer, and you know it. So you're in the textbook offence is the best defence mode. Your avoidance approach didn't work. You tried that when you denied us that AGM that you promised on record last February. The AGM that you just kept pushing out and pushing out a bit further. Oh, I was just so overwhelmed from the tour and those brutal, vile trolls. Yeah, and then when that wasn't holding up any longer, you just deregistered, cut and run, head for the hills, get the hell out of Dodge. Try and make it so that no one else will be able to come in behind you and look at any of the, what's been going on. And at an AGM, people would have asked how the books were looking. You would have had to provide a financial report. And they would have wanted to know how much was in the bank account. Oh, what bank account? Oh, you mean the Free NZ one? Tricky. Yeah, it would have been a little bit awkward. I get it. And you also knew that your leadership was up for renewal, and how many were eager for a leadership change, and that if a new leader did come in, he'd be wanting all the records and it'd all be opened up. So that thing had to be shut down. Yes. Anyway, and you also did that flip the truth on its head thing again when you lambasted my work in your first video a couple of days ago. Funny, because in the last phone call I ever had with you, Liz, you raved about my work to expose the paedophilia in Destiny. You raised the subject again, not me. You implored me to promise you that I'd keep exposing their abuses because you believed it was really important and that it went much deeper, and I agreed with you. And you often went on about how great you thought my work was, privately and publicly. You called me New Zealand's best investigative journalist on the tour many times from the front of the hall. They were your words, okay? Not mine. I'm not saying this about myself. And there's a few times that your partner talked about how you told me that he had told you, and he works in TV, and he should know, you said, that he thought I was a star and that I could really make it internationally. And I said that wasn't my goal. In fact, you were the one, Liz, who said that I'd be best not standing as a candidate in Epsom against David Seymour, like you originally asked me to, in front of witnesses, and tried to organise a home for me and everything up there. But then you said no, you thought I'd be better utilised making a documentary about Winston Peters before the election and the VFF third-party thing going on with RCR, because I talked to you about that and what they were up to. And then you said you loved both those pieces, thanked me profusely, and you've said you've loved every video I've made. You'd always message me after I've released one saying it's just awesome, wonderful. You'd gush about it. And you know that both you and Heather put a lot of pressure on me to leave Counterspin and come and work with you. I remember actually calling you more than once, saying, Heather's pestering me, just barraging me every day. Started with your flattery and then coercion, then her insulting, it was too much. And that could you please put Heather back in her kennel? So yeah, it just doesn't reconcile with what you said in your video. And I'm only talking about this. I mean, I don't need your approval or care what you think about me, but I'm only talking about it because it points to the credibility of the rest of your slander aimed at so many other good people in that video that you named. It's the classic construct a villain out of anyone who you know might be about to hold you to account. You've done it to a fair few now to try and disqualify them, accusing them of what you yourself have done. I get it all the time. People lying about me, blocking me, because they know that I don't sit comfortably alongside liars and I will say something. Block and slander, standard procedure for people with dirty hands. Our government gave us a great example of that. But you don't just censor, Liz, you go full defamation and victimhood. Even in your video a couple of days ago, all the talk of the vile, brutal abuse and the bullies, and the bullyish behaviour, the bullies, the vile, brutal bullies. And you're going to do a series about bullying. Again, honestly, all anyone has done, Liz, is respond right of reply to the slander that you have launched publicly. That's all they've done thus far. I don't recall making up lies about your sex life and sharing them publicly, Liz, as you've done a number of times to me again tonight, or making videos of you with glowing red eyes and, some on your forehead like you did to Calvin. I don't remember going full Lord of the Flies and my precious on you. I don't remember doing that. Pretty sure that was all you. I only finally answered for the first time when you started trying to slut shame me. That was enough at that point. If you won't speak to anyone personally, you're just going to violate their privacy, defame, like that phone call, I mean, what other avenue do people have at that point? Enough. You just need to stop. Okay. The one tonight, I mean, it is pure defamation. The things you're saying about me, Sammy and Calvin, it's incredible. You want to know the truth on that. I seriously admire Calvin. I don't think anyone has stood as strong as he does. I work closely with him. I get on well with him. And if you want to call that a relationship, you go right ahead. But if you're going to say anything more, you can damn well bring the evidence. Honestly, a 65-year-old woman going out there trashing another woman, slut shaming her. I remember talking to you on the phone, Liz, and you were bemoaning how you were criticized, and they either come at you with, she's unhinged. They're coming at you with the unhinged thing. And I said, yeah, and they come at me with the slut thing, because that's what they have to do when they can't bring down your message. They either slut shame you or call you unhinged, mentally unwell. And we shared that together. We talked about that. And now you're doing it. It is really quite unbelievable. You don't get to destroy people's reputations because you're in a sticky situation. We have far more important things to do than ward off your constant slander. Enough. It's starting to look a bit like a mental health crisis. And if anyone around you is enabling this, they're not your friends, Liz. They're sycophants. And to be honest, I don't think there's anything wrong with your mental capacity. I actually don't think you're as sharp as a tack. And you described in detail, in private, of course, about how your mainstream media propaganda tools, techniques to win people over. You described how you would tilt your head and smile and touch them on the arm and lean in, and how it was to gain people's trust. You know how to do this stuff. You've admitted it, and you say, well, basically, it seems like you're feeding people information, or you're talking to people and you want them to feed it back to you. It's like you're telling yourself what you want to hear by feeding it through someone else, and having it come back to you. It's a technique that's pretty narcissistic, actually. Anyway, and your mention of Tamaki, seriously. Wow, I actually find it quite intriguing how predictably people will compromise their values in order to realign themselves to support, bolster, even pedophile protectors like Tamaki, to bolster their numbers, basically, their position. Heather Jeffries was doing it the other day, and now you're even going there, talking about how I've just gossip mongered about Brian Tamaki. Wow. Yeah, people will just flip the script, fully invert it to enable allegiances, to gather troops, They'll willingly throw their credibility right under the bus for the sake of conquering a common enemy. It's fascinating to watch, appalling and fascinating at the same time. Anyway, Liz slandered many other good people in her video, but the vast majority, I was actually privy to the event or the situation she was describing, and I can tell you it's outright lies, every one of them. Well, sorry, that's an exaggeration. Probably about 80% of them I was privy to, and I can tell you that those are outright lies. Anyway, I just hope that this stops. I just hope that we can see an end to this, and And that's why I'm speaking so strongly tonight. I know I speak for all of us when I say that we just damn well need to get on with the job of saving our children's future. So if we could do that, that'd be great. No more unsubstantiated gossip and rumors and defamatory, crazy videos trying to take people down. If you're going to say something, make sure, first of all, that it actually matters. You know, it's not about someone's sex life, for God's sake. And that you have the facts to back yourself. Otherwise, that person's going to have to defend themselves and it's just going backwards and forwards. It's just stupid, please. Enough. And if you're going to say anything about anyone, just have the facts. I did. I endured a very long period of abuse, a full-on slut shaming, lies, etc. from when I was telling you that the children of Destiny were not safe. But I had the facts. I knew what I was saying was true. I would never have said it otherwise. And it was the same with the car park situation. You know, important issues like the whole Winston Peters con and the VFF con and 15-minute cities and all the other stuff that I've covered, those are important issues. But, you know, people's sex lives? Really? All this ridiculous drama? It's not important? Like, I can't believe I have to say that. But and I'm getting a bit tired of having to defend my reputation. I'd rather just get on with the work if that's okay. Anyway, to round this up, all I can say is that we need to fight and fight hard. So that's why I am very glad that the people of New Zealand Loyal overwhelmingly voted Calvin Alp to be the leader the other day at the AGM. If I might remind you of that time when, Liz got that letter from the lawyer and she made that video and she was, crying about how she's going to have to take down the Barry Young videos. And do you remember how Calvin responded to that? He encouraged Liz to stand firm and keep the videos up. But when she just completely folded after one letter, he didn't criticize her. But what he did do is take all of those videos and upload them to his channel. Then he turned on his camera, stared down the barrel and said, "Try that shit on us." And they never did. They just backed right off. Not a peep. And the video stayed in place because they knew he's someone who won't back down. They know he'll never fold, that he doesn't have a price, and that he cannot be intimidated. That's what we need. Someone who'll front right up to the enemy and then call back to the rest of the troops and say, hold the line, don't buckle. A leader like that could grow an actual resistance. Not a talking one, not a nice tea party one, but a doing one that actually achieves something. Lastly, we've got to stop with the Freemason rubbish. He's resigned. Yes, you can resign. He did it. It was accepted. And he's had no pressure from them whatsoever. He's put out the invitation many times. Anyone know of anything untoward going on with Freemasons in New Zealand? He said, let us know. We'll keep you anonymous and we'll hold them to account. But nothing's come in. There's been nothing at all. You know, they're very happy. Our enemy is very happy for you to keep on raving about Freemasons and thinking that they're behind everything. It makes it a lot easier for them if you're off somewhere else fighting some fictional battle. Yeah. When was the last time you were censored for posting about Freemasonry? Or that you saw a fact checker message, under a Freemason post about Freemasonry? I'd hazard a guess that it was never. But try posting about the Zionist Jews, or really being some truth that actually matters. Not, historical stuff like the jab was bad because that's already coming out, but like stuff that really could jeopardize their agenda going forward, and see how long you'll last then. we've really just got it sorted out, because we don't stand a chance carrying on like this. The cognitive dissonance in this country has evolved into cognitive insanity. We need to do better, and we are better. Okay, I think that's me. I shall leave you to your evening, and thank you for listening. Sorry about the, forthrightness, but there's some things that just needed to be said. Okay, see ya.